right now. Listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth right now.
Ooh.
That was the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it. It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody! Showtime!
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
It's showtime. 7 minutes after 4 o'clock on the 10th day of the 10th month of the 16th year in Jesus' third millennium. How about those apples?
That's why you're the host, Mac. We're just peons here. We sit back in awe of your extensive oratory skills.
I have no idea what those big words meant.
That was fantastic.
You talk a good game.
Oh, okay,
He's saying you talk a good game.
Thank you very much. Now,
I was going to say, speaking of dates, it was a year ago. It was a year ago in October that we had a great, huge influx of all these listeners from 98.3.
Oh, was that right?
That was a year ago, if you remember that. I wonder how many people listening now remember that on 98.3 they switched to hip-hop about a year ago. And I remember that because we had this influx of calls and texts and emails and all these people saying, hey, that's Mac, and he's on my station again. Although their station had moved, so maybe they didn't know. But I remember that day. That was about a year ago. Those were some good memories.
Yeah, that was...
That was a big deal around these parts. That put us kind of, not put us on the map, but it made a big dent for us because at this point now, 99.3 is really the only talk-style station on the FM dial where we're talking about this stuff, and we're talking about it local perspective. We're just a bunch of Des Moines boys here chip-chapping away at... Is that highfalutin language, chip-chapping away, Tom?
Well, but and then I want to go, Debbie and Perry. Debbie is hanging on. Debbie, I want to have you on the air in just a second, but I want to make a comment about that. Because here's something that probably wasn't discussed at the time and hasn't been discussed very often. Are you going to walk in front of my camera, Frank?
Yeah, he's going to.
What, camera 2's unplugged? Okay.
Under the table.
All right.
That's okay. So what was your point about a year ago, October?
That was a God thing.
Yep.
Because if they had gone off the air or changed formats, whatever you want to call it, from their talk format to their music format, if that had happened before we raised our power and moved to Des Moines in July, that would have it wouldn't helped us at all.
Right.
Because when those people went to 98.3 and said, I don't want to listen to that music, and hit scan, it wouldn't have stopped on us.
Right.
It would have gone past 99.3 and probably gone to 100.3, I think, was probably the next K-Life. I call it K-Life. That's terrible. Shows you how old I am. The bus or whatever it is now.
Right.
So I believe that God orchestrated all of that. So that morning, I think it was a Monday morning.
Yes, it was. Yeah, well, today.
So
I don't know if it was this day or not. It may have actually been a year to the day.
I've got it written down in my office.
But I remember it being in October.
Yeah. And so that just shows you, or it shows me. I don't care if it shows you. You can believe whatever you want. I'm to the point now where I just see how Jesus impacts me and how he impacts other people. That's your call. But I believe that he worked that to his best effort, like Romans talks about, so that the listeners that would normally listen to 98.3 would now find this program, which is very similar to the program that I did for years over there. Almost the same time frame. Tom, you were with me for most of those years.
Yeah, but you're doing it sober and in Christ now.
Oh, fine. He brings up drinking again. Yeah, no, I am. I'm doing it sober in Christ.
That's no secret. I mean, I'm not revealing any secrets out over the air here.
No, that's not. That's true.
Now, Mac, I will say this, and we haven't talked about this much on the air, but your drinking, to me, was unknown at that point. Your excessive drinking, and it was done at night. It was done quietly and covertly, but I saw the change in your personality when you got off the liquor, and you significantly changed your personality and your life at that point.
Well, and at that point, and here's the reason I talk about this on the air. I talk about this on the air because maybe this is your dad, or your grandpa, or your grandma, or your mother, or your father, or your husband, or your wife, or your. You now know somebody who is active in a 12-step program. And I have not been intoxicated for 2,400 days or something like that, a little over 6 years. That's what's different. Because I believe Jesus did not, because when you get drunk every night like I did, and I'm not proud of this, I just say this because there's people out there who may need to hear somebody talking about this. I drank a liter of gin a night. And when you do that, when you wake up in the morning, you have no recollection of anything you did the day before. So every morning, Jesus would have to restart me. And I'd have to go back and say, okay, what happened? What did Tom and I talk yesterday? Do we have a guest book for Tuesday? And I'd call Tom and say, Tom, do we have a guest booked? And you and I would go out for cocktails from time to time and with dinner and stuff, and I might have one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I never saw you excessively drink. That's why I was surprised, but I could see it in your personality, which Frank and I were talking off the air a little bit ago when we had Tana on here. She mentioned 2 or 3 specific times.
3 times.
Where Hillary is a hard drinker.
Yeah.
And that, to me, explains some aspects of her personality, the angry rants and the physically and verbally abusive Hillary that we've heard so many accounts about. Now, the media doesn't touch on it, but it also explains some of what we're looking at here and long-term physical and mental damage. All right, Mac?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It took me a year, maybe. I mean, Jesus mugged me 14 months later after I put the plug in the jug. And he knew the timing. I didn't. I had no idea. I thought I was just fine with Jesus until one day he came to me and said, I don't know you. I don't know who you are. What do you mean you don't know who I am? I'm a sober Mac for 14 months. Yeah, but you don't know me. And, the rest is history. So I tell you this just because if you have somebody like that in your family and you have no idea where to turn to, you can turn to me. Don't think of me as the guy on the radio. Think of me as someone who's willing to help your family member, your loved one, your friend, your pastor. If you think alcoholism skips the church and the pastors and the worship, it doesn't. Alcoholism is out there doing push-ups in the hallway right outside my studios right this very minute and would love nothing more than for me to walk out, go buy a liter or 2 of gin, and start up again.
I've never tempted you to do that, have I?
Every day I have to work with you, Frank. So I just share this so people know that there is somebody who's open and honest and willing to talk about the abuse of alcohol. Now, don't get me wrong. The use of alcohol is fine. Tom has a cocktail from time to time. Chris, you like beer. You're not a big beer drinker, but you'll have beer.
Sure.
Let's just admit it. Frank's heroin. Frank just injects black tar heroin. But my point is, it's the abuse that God doesn't like. And maybe you're of the religion or the denomination where alcohol should be abstained from completely. That's up to you, but that's not what the Bible says.
Yeah, so what was his first recorded miracle, Mac?
Water into wine.
Here you go.
And the Bible always talks about drunkardness.
Yes.
It doesn't talk about consumption of alcohol. Now, there's going to be some people out there that want to argue with me on that, and I get that, and I'll have that conversation with you. The use of alcohol, it's in the Bible, for heaven's sakes. It's the abuse, the daily abuse, the daily intoxication from alcohol that Jesus doesn't want you to do. All right, real quickly, Deb's been hanging on the line for way too long, and I want to get to her. She's live in Perry, Iowa. Deb, how are you today? Welcome to Mac's World.
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
Good, and I'm sorry it took me so long to get to you. Tom and Frank just rambled and rambled and rambled and rambled and rambled. There was nothing I could do.
It's Tom and Frank's rambles that I was actually calling about.
Oh!
I've been pretty frustrated the last few months listening to the show and hearing all the excusing of Donald Trump's behavior, and I really thought that what came out this weekend would be the end of that. Because what he admitted to, or what they found, was not some locker room talk. It was bragging about sexual assault. The conversation that he had is a kind of conversation that's part of the rape culture. He talked about grabbing women and them not being able to resist him because he's powerful and famous. That is absolutely beyond the pale. I don't understand how anybody who respects women, anybody who is a follower of Christ, anybody who has decency in them can continue to make any apologies for this man. I've never made apologies for Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton or their behavior towards women, and I'm not going to make any apologies. I don't understand how Bill Clinton's past or present has anything to do with Donald Trump. I don't care whether those people were mad about Hillary Clinton or not. They better be mad about Donald Trump because he is bragging about sexual assault of women. We need to stop excusing him. We need to stop making up reasons why he's okay or why he's good, and we need to call, as the public, we need to call for him to step down and allow us to at least have the chance to elect an honorable or semi-honorable person, which he clearly is not.
All right. Debbie, can you hang on through the break? Because I'd like to address, and I think Tom would also like to address some of your thoughts. And I want you on the line when we address them. Are you okay with that?
Sure.
All right. And John from Boone, I see you holding. Oh, John just hung up. John, call back. My listeners on the radio are very important to me. If you've listened to me long enough, you know that. It's been that way for 40 years. I want to address what Debbie said and give her a chance to address us back. So we'll do that when we come back. Live here on The Truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi. My name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
21 minutes after 4 o'clock, 4:21 in the afternoon. I got to tell you, I moved into my new house, which is really an old house. The house was built in 1954 and 1955, and it won the Best of Show in the Des Moines Home Show in 1955. But I don't think it's ever had a Culligan water softener. I don't think it's ever had any water softener in it. And I think I'm seeing the results of that. I think I've got dirty pipes. I think I've got some smell. You know, they talk about like that rotten egg smell every once in a while. Metallic taste because I drink a ton of water. So what did I do? I did the only thing I know to do.
Hey, Culligan Man!
I called the Culligan Man at 274-2573, family-owned Christian business over there in Valley Junction. They came out, they determined my problem, and they are installing a brand new Culligan, better water, pure and simple. So, not only will I have my reverse osmosis, but I'm going to start healing my pipes. And if those pipes can't be healed, if they have to be replaced, so be it. But at least we know that from now on, because of Culligan, they'll be taken care of. So don't be afraid to call your Culligan Man at 274-2573. And as Frank says,
hey, Culligan Man!
Thank you, Culligan. You need to get that on the end of the air.
I know.
You think it's so far gone, Mac, you may have to have a plumbing exorcism?
Yeah, I may. I mean, I've got a couple places where, I think so. So anyway, we'll figure it out. It's okay. It's a great house. Glad I'm there. All right, 23 minutes after 4. Let's go back to Deb on the air in Perry. Debbie, how are you?
I'm hanging in here.
All right, so you voiced your objection to Donald Trump very well, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what I believe I heard you say was that Donald Trump should not be our Republican nominee, and when is the Republican Party going to stand up and put somebody in there that we can be proud to vote for rather than disgusted to vote for?
Yeah, and when our Christians, whether they're talking on the radio or writing blog posts or speaking publicly, when are we going to stand up and say, it doesn't matter what the other guy is like, this guy's evil too, and we're not supporting evil? I don't see any reason to believe that Trump is the lesser of two evils. What he was just found out to how he talks about women. We always knew that he talks about women in despicable ways, but this is so far beyond reason that I do not understand how anybody can, while standing there and calling themselves a Christian, can say that there is any way to support this man. I don't understand that.
All right, so we're going to get a couple people who want to give you some feedback, and Debbie, just hang on. I don't want you off the line when we talk about this. All right, go ahead, Tom.
Debbie, I appreciate your call in here, and I've actually had some discussions with my daughter who turns 40 today, my wife, a family friend, along a similar line. And I do appreciate your input, and I think the female perspective is a little different than the male perspective, not only in this matter, but in many things. But it's obvious now that barring some act of God, some major health issue, that Donald Trump is going to hang in there. And when we come down to the election on November the 8th, there are going to be two choices. You can not vote for either one. You can vote for a third-party candidate. You can go for the dope smoker, Gary Johnson, over in the Libertarian, or you can vote for the Green wing jud over there, Jill Stein, on the Green Party. But it's really coming down to two people. It's either going to be Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, and what do you do on that day?
Well, what I do on that day is trust that God is in control and that he's not asking me to choose between a person who abuses women and a woman who justifies men who abuse women. I don't believe that God has put me in a position where he's saying, yeah, go ahead, support one of these people. God is in control. We have no idea what's going to happen in the next month. The RNC could there's mechanisms in place for them to pull Donald Trump as the nominee and replace him with somebody else. Somebody could die. Somebody could be indicted. We have no idea what's going to happen in the next month.
Well, I understand. Given that God doesn't intervene or something extraordinary doesn't happen, after his fine debate performance last night, they're not going to remove Donald Trump, I don't think. When it comes down to November the 8th, and if it's as it is now, and you have either Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump as your next president, are you going to take action or are you going to do nothing?
I don't believe that being obedient to God is doing nothing.
Debbie, let me ask you, this is Frank. Do you believe in redemption?
Sure.
Okay. So if you said something 10 years ago, or I said something 10 years ago, and I'm a different person today, and you're a different person today, can that be held against you, something that was done a number of years ago? Because we all have fallen short of the glory of God.
What have we seen in Donald Trump's character over the last year and a half to give us any indication that he's changed?
Debbie,
He continues to mock disabled people.
Okay, hold on, Debbie. Hold on.
Make racial statements, to make in the crazy statements about women. It goes on and on, day after day after day. Where on earth would we get the idea that he's changed?
Debbie, he apologized for those comments that were recorded many, many years ago. I think that's the first time Donald Trump has apologized and said he was wrong.
Yep, I agree. And I think he has thousands of other statements over the last year and a half to apologize for as well.
But, Debbie, so do we.
I agree. But until I see something in him that's a change, there's no reason to believe that.
Let me say this. I have ultimate respect for certain religious leaders. Dr. James Dobson, who I spent some time with back some years ago, and some others, Gary Bauer, Franklin Graham, others have met with him personally, and Dr. Dobson declared Donald Trump a baby Christian. I listened to Mike Pence a few weeks ago here in Des Moines say that Donald Trump asked him to pray with him on the plane. He didn't go to Donald Trump. Donald Trump came to him and said, let's pray. I think he is a baby Christian. I believe that what was said about him is true. He doesn't mean he's a seasoned Christian and doesn't mean he's a perfect Christian. Nobody at this table is anywhere close to that either. He's been given intemperate language, but I don't think he would repeat those comments today. I think Frank is exactly right. I think if we look back into our past, we can all find things to be embarrassed about.
Debbie, does it give you any confidence at all, the type of people that he's surrounded himself with in this campaign? He's brought in Christian leaders. He's associating with a different type of people. Does that give you any hope that there's hope for him, or have you just totally written him off?
It doesn't give me hope, because that's what a person would do if they were trying to court the Republican Party and get the nomination. It would be stupid to do anything else.
Let me just ask you, if Trump was to drop out today, who would you immediately want to see? Who would you want to see him replaced by?
Frankly, I would be thrilled with any of the other six.
Well, give me one if you would, because that would at least give us some idea of because I don't think you would want. I don't know. I don't think you'd want somebody equally as bad. So step up. I know you've got a candidate in mind, and just say who that candidate would be.
Well, I can say who I caucused for, but that really isn't the point. The point is that virtually anybody, really anybody who...
How about Rand Paul?
I threw my shoe at almost broke the television at my husband's office at Jeb Bush, but at this point I'd be glad to take Jeb Bush over Donald Trump.
He's
deplorable.
Would you reveal who you supported in the caucuses?
Sure, I supported Ted Cruz.
Okay, now Ted has endorsed Trump.
Yep, and that was very disappointing.
All right, let me throw something in. And Debbie, I really appreciate you calling, and I hope you are okay with this kind of conversation.
Sure. Yep, I am. Yep.
You know the old joke about the guy who said to the fireman, I'm not leaving my house. I know the flood is rising, but I'm not leaving. God is going to save me.
Right, and then he gets to heaven, and God says, I sent you a rowboat, and I sent you a fireman, and I sent you a helicopter. Yep.
God sent us 16 other people, and we saw all of them here in Iowa. He sent us pastors. He sent us Christians.
Yep.
He sent us, I don't know if they're atheists, but people who don't wear their sleeve on they don't wear their faith on their sleeve.
Right.
Sent us really experienced people like Jindal and Bush and Walker. And I mean, for whatever reason, now I'm a baby Christian. 6 years. Ben Carson. 6 years. That's all. But I believe that God is sovereign. I believe that in the end, he has everything in his hands.
Yep.
So out of those 17 people, Donald Trump is the one he chose to be our nominee.
But he also chose Nebuchadnezzar to punish the Israelites. Just because it's who God chooses for us doesn't mean that he sees it as a good choice in the sense of God is good, and all the choices that are for our best. But he didn't pick Nebuchadnezzar because he thought Nebuchadnezzar would be a great leader for the Israelite people. He chose Nebuchadnezzar as judgment upon them because of their rejection of him and his law.
But why? So why can't I love your story? Why can't we follow in those same footsteps and realize that no matter what God may have in store for America, God sent us Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton?
Well, I could add to that. Maybe I kind of come to Debbie's side on this. The difference is that in this country we have the vote, which means that we can elect this person. If you think of any leader in world history that may have been appointed and placed there by God, would you have said, yeah, and I would have voted for that guy? I think that's kind of one of the differences that we're faced with here. As individuals, we have to come to grips with our own personal conscience and say, can I in good conscience actually vote for this person? You know, God may give us Hillary Clinton as a form of judgment. He may give us Donald Trump as a form of judgment. That might be what's going on. But it's another thing to say, if we are following this analogy, if God is giving us Donald Trump as a form of judgment, why would we want to vote for the person that God is using to judge us? That seems silly. We should do something else with our time, maybe, and be faithful to the Lord instead.
Well, and that's not what I see. What I see the prophets doing when they knew that God was bringing judgment upon them, and they knew that God was going to bring ungodly leaders to them. The prophets didn't go, yay, go embrace them, and they're going to be great, and tell everybody how wonderful they're going to be.
But Debbie,
that's not what God told the prophets to do.
God used...
He told them to turn back. Look what's going to happen to you. Turn back.
God used...
And they refused.
God used Nebuchadnezzar for his purpose, and it was his grandson, Belshazzar, that ended up turning away from God, which caused the overthrow of Babylon to the Medo-Persians by Cyrus. So clearly, if God can use Nebuchadnezzar, don't you think he can use Trump?
Yeah, he also can use Hillary Clinton, so let's go vote for her.
All right.
Is that what you're going to do, Debbie?
No, that's not what I'm going to do, but by your logic, it makes just as much sense to vote for Hillary Clinton.
All right, Debbie, I'm up against a hard break. If you want to hold on, we'll continue the conversation. If not, I love you. Thank you very much for calling into Mac's World this afternoon on 99.3 The Truth.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
4:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour. Don't forget, you can learn how to keep your brain sharp. Yeah, even at my age, at Frank's age, at Bob's age, we all work to keep our brain sharp, and we're going to have a free seminar that you can come and listen to how you can keep your brain sharp. Nancy Pym is her name. She's going to be our special guest speaker at a Lunch and Learn on Tuesday, October 25th at 10:16 on 2016 from 11:15 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Waterfront Seafood Market, 2900 University in West Des Moines. It is sponsored by the good folks at Seniors on the Move. But it's $10 unless you tell them Max sent you.
And then?
Free.
Oh!
Tom's there.
That's free seafood on a Tuesday.
Free seafood on a Tuesday. And Tom, you could bring Leanne. You could bring.
And we could both eat free?
Yep. You could bring that old woman daughter of yours. And it's all eat free. You just got to tell them Max sent you.
I like the waterfront anyway. I'm there.
Yeah, all right. But it's really going to be a good seminar. Learn how to keep your brain sharp. It runs from like 11:15 to 12:30. You'll be back at work by 1. Ask your boss if you can do it. Nancy Pym will be teaching us. She's a learning doctor. And it's seniorsonthemove-ia.com. Seniorsonthemove-ia.com.
Keep or get?
Huh?
Keep or get your brain sharp? I'm not sure I'm there.
Both.
Well, I mean, for me, it would have to be keep because I can't get it any sharper. It's the doled out. All right, now I've got John from Boone back on the phone. I'm going to take John's call, and then I know we want to talk a little bit about Deb because you're, Chris, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you kind of agree with her.
I think I get where she's coming from for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely think I get where she's coming from.
All right. So, John, you hang on just a second. Don't hang up, buddy. So, tell me.
Well, no, let's go to John because I ain't got nothing. I'm sitting here.
Let's continue with this. Then John may want to jump to a different place. So you go ahead and you speak for her as her surrogate.
Well, I don't want to speak for her as her surrogate, but here I think is the situation that a Christian finds themselves in. The Christian finds themselves in this place. No matter what, Donald Trump is a guy who is on the ballot. And he's a person that we could vote for. Hillary Clinton is a person that we could vote for. As a Christian, we have to be able to vote with a good conscience, with a clear conscience. We want to be able to vote in such a way that we can feel good about the person that we're electing, because being involved in politics, and especially being involved in the voting process, is we're saying that if I vote for this person, then they're going to do what's best for our country, for our community, for our neighborhood. They're going to extend and uphold the law of the land so that we as a country can protect and serve our neighbors. Okay? We want what's best for our country, right? Isn't that's the goal, isn't it? I mean, we as Christians we
would do what's best for our country as it was founded, not as it's been trying to be remade by Obama and Hillary and those of their ilk. And we've talked about the Supreme Court as a defender of our religious freedom. If you can't get past that, I think, we talked about irredeemable off the air, and I like Debbie. She's a nice woman. But if you can't understand that turning the Supreme Court over is going to sacrifice your ability to worship as you see fit in this country, then I think that that's irredeemable, and I think we have an obligation to try to keep this country as it was founded. And for the life of me, I'm very frustrated, even though she's a nice woman, with Debbie. I'm frustrated with you, Chris. I'm frustrated with David Johnson and Joel, what's his name, that came on here, the Never Trumpers. Those are people are more frustrating to me than the hardcore left. Those are people that I don't expect to understand what I'm saying, but those like you, Chris, I am frustrated that you don't understand what we're saying. You're going to have one of two choices. You're going to have Hillary Clinton, you're going to have Donald Trump, and if you can't see the difference between the two, then
I see a difference between the two. And I think Debbie sees a difference between the two.
No, she didn't ever acknowledge. She said she didn't ever acknowledge that there was any legitimate difference between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. They were both equally bad. Frank, what do you think?
Wait a minute. There's two differences here, right? So we can say that they are both bad.
That's what she said.
And that's fine. And we can say that they're different. They're different bad. Right? Mac's bad. Bob's bad. They're different bad. I'm bad. Frank's bad. We're different bad. There's different kinds of bad. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton may both be bad, but that doesn't mean that there's not differences between the two of them. There are definitely differences between the two of them. Hillary Clinton is a career politician, been involved in politics for a very, very long time. And yeah, she's a big government person and is going to continue to move the country left. Look at her logo. I was noticing this earlier today. Folks, pay attention. It's an H with an arrow going to the left. She wants to move the United States more to the left. She's one of the most progressive candidates we've ever had. Look, very different than Donald Trump. I think the reason why Donald Trump got in the political race is because he sees the country moving too far to the left. He's different than Hillary Clinton. Nobody disagrees with that. I don't think Debbie would disagree with that. The point is, in a good conscience, can I vote for either of those two people? I think that is a legitimate question, and I think people should be able to exercise their right of conscience. I think it's hypocritical.
Of course they can.
I think it's hypocritical to say on one hand we want to stand up and fight for religious liberty, but on the other hand, if you're a Christian, you better shut up and get in line and vote for the RNC candidate.
Frank,
I don't think that's consistent.
Your comment, and then I've got to go to John.
Okay, the thing that frustrates me about, and Debbie's a very nice person and whatever, but the thing that frustrates me about these Never Trump people is they played in the game. You got in the cesspool. Everybody acknowledges that politics is a cesspool. But now because their candidate didn't win and they didn't get the part of the cesspool that they wanted, they're going to, I'm better than the cesspool, so I'm not even going to engage. They were in it with us. They were in fighting with us. Just because they didn't get their candidate, now they want to take their ball and go home. And I just think that if you're going to be a member of the Republican Party, you support the party. If you don't want to be a member of the Republican Party, don't be a member. Don't be involved in politics at all. My denomination in particular advises not to be involved in politics at all because it can turn people away from Sabbath keeping. So I'm just simply saying if I know the consequences and I'm going to engage in it, then don't complain that you get your boots dirty in the pool.
All right. John from Boone, you're live in Mac's World on 99.3 The Truth. Go for it, cowboy.
All right, well, I just want to say thanks for taking my call, and I've always loved listening to Tom's World.
Oh, great. Great. Just what I needed today. Another fan of Tom Coates.
Well done, John.
And I also wanted to say I am a Trump supporter. That's not why I'm calling, though, really. I wanted to say I appreciate the fact that you talk about your different alcoholism issues and stuff like that on the air like that. And I wanted to put in a little plug for all those people out there that are voting. I do care who you vote for, but it really doesn't matter who you're going to go vote for. But please make sure that you do go out there and vote. Just because I have made some mistakes in my life and in my past, and I am a convicted felon, and I don't have a voice. I can't go out and vote, and I really wish that I could. I wish that things were different, but they're not. So if you have a voice, please make sure you get out there and show that voice. That's pretty much all I had.
Well, I tell you what, that's sobering.
It is. Thank you, John.
Good advice, John.
Yeah, that really is.
Yes, thank you
Here's
for
a man
calling
who's
in,
lost
John.
his opportunity to vote because of his actions.
Well, here,
which I don't agree with, by the way, but that's a whole nother show.
Well, but here, that's a beautiful call. That is, John, thank you so much for that comment, because that's really convicting for anybody who wants to sit back and say, well, I'm not going to vote.
Yeah.
John can't vote. We've been given a gift. We've been given a privilege. We should exercise that right. And I think that's a sobering thing. But again, I think, the issue that we've got to at some point, I mean, Frank, is there somebody you wouldn't vote for? I mean, would you not vote for someone?
If they were the Republican nominee and I consider myself a Republican, I'm going to hold my nose and vote for the Republican.
Now, that's not where I come from, though. Don't take on that particular one. Now, I normally vote for the Republican, but if I felt that there was a Christian conservative that could make a difference that was run as an independent or even a Democrat, although I've not lived long enough to see that time, then I would vote for that person without the R behind their name. But that's my frustration with you, Chris, is that you only get two choices, and none of them have ever been perfect choices. Jesus Christ is not on the ballot. So when I get a guy like Steve Deace that said lesser of two evils, it's always the lesser of two evils.
All right, let's take a break. We're coming back in just 2 minutes, and we'll wrap up this conversation today on the debate last night and the politics of our time. And Jesus, always Jesus, live on The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common, everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
We're good.
Okay. All right, 10 minutes before 5 o'clock, 4:50 in the afternoon, Tom Coates, Chris Roloff, Frank the Verse. And by the way, thank you, Frank, once again on that not Nicodemus. What was the story that Debbie brought up?
Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah, you were right on with your Bible stuff, man. That's why I call you the Verse. That's why you're here. And Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, watching the chat and the Service Legends Truth text line at 809-0889. Remember, first call bail bonds reminds you not to text and drive.
We were talking about in the break, we violated the first law of Maxworld, which is not to keep the conversation going in the break, but I'm going to do my best to recap this. And we've got just a few more minutes before the top of the hour, and we talked about this as a show, and this is important. Donald Trump, I don't know how long ago this was, but was at
May
the family...
of 2015.
Thank you. May of 2015, Donald Trump, in front of a very large audience, including Frank Luntz, when asked if he had ever asked God for forgiveness, Trump said no. He's not that kind of guy. Now, we've talked about this since then, and nothing has seemed to change. Now, there's been some indication that maybe he's come to faith. I don't know. But something weird happened over the weekend, and we all talked about this. Some audio came out about a 2005 accidental open mic here of Donald Trump say some very vulgar, very terrible stuff. And I agree, sexual assault type language. But Donald Trump did something after that was astounding to me.
Unlike Donald Trump.
The man took to the internet. He made the video. He wrote it down. It was on his Facebook page is where I saw it. But he publicly apologized and said he was sorry for what he did,
which he's never in this campaign has not done before.
Right. And I think, and we talked about this in the break, there's one of two things here. This is my opinion. One of two things happened with this. Either one, it was an absolute bold-faced lie.
Ooh, I don't
or
think
two,
so.
Right. Or two, it was genuine. And here's the problem with it being an absolute lie. I think Trump has been, now I'm not saying Trump has never lied. Undoubtedly, Trump has lied. We've all lied. But Trump, most of the time, to his own fault, to his own error, to his own hurt, has been truthful and blunt and forthcoming. Case in point, when he was at the family leader function, and he really messed up by saying that he had never asked for forgiveness. I was quoted in the New York Times article that you bring up repeatedly, Mac. The only quote that I have in that was I said at that time, Donald Trump should have known the right answer. That's cheap. That's Sunday school. That's a small baby answer. Anybody should have known that. But Donald Trump didn't know that. I think he's changed to some degree. There's an indication there that there has been some change. And a really smart friend of mine said once, it takes 30 seconds to repent. And I haven't seen insert name in 30 seconds. So could Donald Trump have changed? Could Donald Trump have confessed his sin publicly? Could he have been born again? Is it possible? Is the indication that he apologized for this heinous thing he did in 2005 an indication of some change? Maybe. Just maybe. I'm not saying that it is, but I'm saying we should take, as Christians who say that Christ died for the ungodly, that Christ saves the unsavable, the unlovable, as it were, that maybe Donald Trump could change. I think that's worth considering.
Yeah, I think he has, and I would ask a rhetorical question and anybody here can answer it, or it's just a rhetorical question to the audience. Have you ever heard Hillary Clinton apologize for anything? If under terrible duress, she will say, well, I made a mistake about having a couple servers. I take responsibility. What exactly is taking responsibility when you're lying and deceiving the American public, lining your pockets with the government money, with the taxpayer dollars, living in the lap of luxury, but yet she takes responsibility? I've never personally heard the woman say She's sorry for anything in my life. And I've been watching this woman for over 30 years.
Well, I agree with the same thing you're saying, Frank. And I've never seen any real repentance. Yeah, I saw him pay $850,000 to Paula Jones in an out-of-court settlement.
While they were calling her trailer park trash at the same
right,
time.
Dragging the dollar through the trailer park. I have seen them destroy women's lives. I think Juanita Broderick is being truthful when she says, I fear for my safety if Hillary Clinton gets reelected. That is real stuff. It's not some off-the-cuff comments that Donald Trump was making 11 years ago. If you really want to be concerned over the welfare of children and women, you sure as heck shouldn't support Hillary Clinton. And I defy any Christian on here to really analyze this situation and admit that we are always voting for the lesser of two evils.
And going back to what our guest last week, was it Ed, said, the guy we had last week?
Yes.
Is Julian Assange going to be for life if Hillary Clinton gets nominated, because she's got a good memory and she's got an enemies list?
She's got an enemies list, and she will execute on it, and she won't be kidding when she says to go drone Julian Assange next time, right?
All right, we are coming to the end of our hour here, and our 2 hours, and I appreciate you all being here. I'm not, I'm probably more in your camp, Chris, than I am in either one of these guys' camps. But I think we really have to pay attention to the fact that Donald Trump said something deplorable about women, certainly embarrassed me for about the 9th time, but he apologized. And there was no verbal eraser in that there was no but. You ever heard me say that before on the air? Whenever you say, Tom, I'm really sorry about that thing I said to you the other day. But if you hadn't said, and that verbal erases everything you just said. Donald Trump did apologize. Too late? Jesus says no. So we're either like Jesus or we're not. We're either judgmental like the accuser and the Pharisees, and we say, too late, not enough time. I needed it in my time, Donald, not in God's time. Do I think Donald Trump is heading for a life of following Jesus? I hope so. That's my prayer. I think it'd be awful cool to have a guy like him all of a sudden get mugged by Jesus and turn his life over. I'm not even sure if he could still be president at that point. If I was like him and became president and then Jesus mugged me, what I went through 6 years ago, I think I'd probably resign the presidency. I don't want that baloney. But he did say he was sorry. Frank, 2 seconds.
Well, as Tom said, I want to reiterate, if you sit home, you vote down ballot or you vote third party, by de facto, it is a vote for Hillary. And if you're not okay with Trump, are you okay with Hillary?
All right, Tom, thanks for being here. Appreciate it very much. Bob, you had a text from the Service Legends text line. You want to read it real quick?
Got a ton of them.
Too long?
Long.
All right, well, basically, what do they sum up?
Well, they're for Frank or against Frank. They're for Tom or against Frank. They're for Chris. They're against, and for us, they leave us alone.
They leave you and me alone. Oh, praise God! All right, I'll do it again. I'll do it every day. I do it every day. I do it all the time. This is my prayer for you. You're holding a resentment against somebody, and it just burns a hole in your tummy, and in your brain, and in your heart, and your head. There's only one thing you can do with that, and that's turn it over to Jesus and ask for forgiveness. Because remember, as you forgive, you will be forgiven. I'll see you at church.